Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be giving my predictions for week 2. Obviously I've missed the Denver Broncos and Kansas City Chiefs matchup. In that game I probably would have picked the Chiefs. Before the game though, I also thought to myself about the Broncos and the fact that Peyton Manning will be able to get back on track, and he certainly did. But we will move into the rest of the picks that are on Sunday. And my first pick is the Lions over the Minnesota Vikings. I think the Vikings will put up a fight because they are at home. But I have the the Lions taking this one on the road to get back on track and pick up their first victory. Moving on to the second game of the day, the Buccaneers and the Saints. The Saints are playing this one at home, and the Saints are definitely unbeatable at home. At least they've shown that for years. And I think they will beat the Buccaneers because the Buccaneers did not show a good game at all against Tennessee Titans last week. And the Titans I wouldn't consider the best team in the NFL. And they got curb stomped. We move to the 49ers and the Steelers. The 49ers at the Steelers. I have the Steelers winning that game. Both teams I don't like. But I think the Steelers will be able to pick up that victory considering they're at home. They lost their first game. They put up a decent fight against New England. And I think they'll easily outmatch the Niners as they beat the Vikings just recently, which I was kind of shocked about. But we'll move on to the fourth game now. The Rams and the Redskins. Rams obviously beating the Seahawks last week at home, having a huge victory against them. I think they'll come out on top in Redskins Stadium in FedEx Field. I think they'll be able to beat the Redskins. I think the Redskins will fall to 0-2. Rams will move to 2-0. And the Seahawks will have to catch up to them, that's for sure. Moving to the next game, Cardinals and Bears. I have the Cardinals winning in the Bears Stadium. I have them winning that game. I think the Cardinals are just a better team than the Bears. I don't think the Bears are doing much this season. We'll see, though. We move on to the Falcons and the Giants. I have the Giants winning this one at home. I just think the Giants will be able to win that game, come after a huge loss against the Dallas Cowboys. It would have been a huge victory either way. It was a huge loss because they gave it up in the end. And I was actually really stunned by that game. I think they'll be able to beat the Falcons, though. As even though, now that I think about that, the Falcons did just come off a win against the Eagles, who are a decent team. I think they're a pretty good team. So we'll figure it out. We'll see who wins that game. Moving to the Patriots and the Bills in Bills Stadium. I have the Bills winning that one. And the main reason is because they were tremendous in week 1. They had a good game overall. And I just think they'll be able to pull out another victory. It was a huge victory against the Indianapolis Colts, and yeah, it was a great victory, and they'll be at home. I believe this is their second game at home, and I think they'll have a good game against Patriots. And by no means do I think this game is not going to be close, because the Patriots are obviously a pretty high-powered offense with a decent defense, but they did lose a lot of key players. We'll see who comes out on top on that one, but I do choose the Buffalo Bills. Moving to the Texans and the Panthers inside of Carolina Stadium. I have the Panthers winning this one. I picked the Texans before this video started, but I am going to go with the Panthers. The reason why I say that is because the Panthers I don't see the Texans winning. They don't have a quarterback that can really put them over the top. If they have a quarterback, I think they'll be put over the top. The same thing goes with the Rams. The Rams got a quarterback, and they beat the Seahawks. Obviously, they beat the Seahawks several years in a row now, at least in their stadium. But I just don't see the Texans winning that game against the Panthers because they just don't have a quarterback necessarily that can really get them over the hump. Moving to the Browns and the Titans. I'm going to go with the Browns. I think the Titans, with Marcus Mariota, they're having a pretty good season so far. I mean, their first game was pretty good against the Buccaneers. I thought the Buccaneers were an improved team, but Tennessee Titans essentially killed that as they won a good game against the Buccaneers. But I have the Browns picking up their first victory of the season at home, and that's the main reason. They're at home, and I think they'll be able to pull it off. Moving to the Chargers and the Bengals. I have the Chargers winning this one on the road. They won last week against the Detroit Lions at home, which I thought was a huge victory for them. And I think they'll be able to pick up another huge victory again against the Bengals in their stadium. Moving to the Dolphins and Jaguars. This one's pretty easy to pick. Easily the Dolphins. I think they'll beat the Jaguars, making the Jaguars fall to 0-2 and the Dolphins moving to 2-0. Moving to the Ravens at the Raiders. I think this is another easy pick. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Ravens against the Raiders. Even though they're playing on the road, I still think the Ravens will pick up a victory. Moving to the last 3 games here. We have the Dallas Cowboys and the Eagles going up against each other. I think the Eagles will pick up their first victory of the season. but at the same time, I would not be shocked if the Dallas Cowboys won this game. Both teams look kind of promising. The Eagles didn't show up last week. LeSean McCoy is obviously on the Buffalo Bills, and that's why I think the Bills are going to be a pretty good team this year. The Eagles just didn't have a good run game last week, picking up their running back DeMarco Murray. So it'll be the first time Murray goes up against the Cowboys, and we'll see what they can do against Cowboys. But I do think they'll be able to pick up a victory. But like I said, if the Cowboys win, I would not be shocked. Moving to the primetime games, the last two games of the week. We have the Seattle Seahawks against the Green Bay Packers in their stadium. This game is tough, and I think I have a little bit of bias towards it. So I'm going to be going with the Seahawks, but I do think this game is going to be close. And this game could be a shootout. I mean, honestly, the Packers are a pretty good team on offense. Their defense is etchy. And the Seattle Seahawks are great on defense, but last week it was not so great against the Rams that they had a tough time doing anything on defense and stopping them. They had huge plays given up the Seahawks all last week. I obviously watched the full game, so I can give you kind of a scouting report of what the Seahawks are going to throw at you. But last week, the offensive line got better as the game went along. So that's why I feel that the Seattle Seahawks will be able to pull out a victory against the Green Bay Packers. They obviously, like I said, had a tough time last week against the Rams, but I feel like the Rams will always give us a tough fight, and the Packers we've beaten in previous years, the last 3 or 4 years, obviously the Fail Mary, even though I think it was a catch. Once again, showing my bias, of course, but I think it was a good game. I think this will be a great game, but the Packers are also looking for revenge for that NFC Championship game, in which they lost in horrible fashion. It was definitely a tough pill to swallow for the Packers. We'll see if they can get back on track, at least from that game. They love to have revenge for that loss. Like I said, this one's a coin toss. Any team could win this one. If there's Cam Chancellor, Seahawks is my easy lock. But since there is no Cam Chancellor on that team, at least currently, I think it's a little sketchy, but I think the Seattle Seahawks will be able to expose that defense because the running game has been tremendous. I believe Marshawn Lynch has averaged 120 yards since facing the Packers defensive coordinator, so the defense is going to have a tough time with Marshawn Lynch, and if the offensive line shows up like they kind of did in the second half, I think they'll have a good chance to win that one. Moving to the last game of the week, the Monday Night Football game where the Jets will face the Indianapolis Colts in their stadium. I have the Colts picking up a victory in that one because I just think Andrew Luck and their team will get back on track. I don't see the Jets as a high-powered team or somebody to worry about, so I do have the Colts winning that one. So those are my picks for this week. We'll go over them one more time before the video ends. We have the Lions over the Vikings picking up their first victory of the year, and the Vikings falling to 0-2. We have the Saints beating the Buccaneers in their home stadium, going to 1-1 while the Buccaneers falling to 0-2. We have the 49ers against the Steelers in their stadium. The Steelers winning that one, making their record go to 1-1 while the 49ers will fall to 1-1. The Rams against the Redskins, I have the Rams winning that one as they will start out 2-0 on the season and have a good road ahead of them against the Redskins, who will fall to 0-2 in their stadium. Moving to the Cardinals and the Bears, I have the Cardinals winning that one, also going 2-0, and the Bears falling to 0-2. Moving to the Falcons and the Giants, I have the Falcons losing to the Giants, falling to 1-1, while the Giants moving to 1-1. The Patriots against the Bills in the Bills Stadium, I have the Bills winning and going to 2-0 against the Patriots, who will fall to 1-1. I have the Texans and the Panthers. I have the Panthers overcoming the Texans, going to 2-0, and the Texans falling to 0-1. I have the Tennessee Titans losing to the Browns in the Browns Stadium, as the Titans will fall to 1-1, and the Cleveland Browns will move to 1-1. And the Chargers over the Bengals, making the Chargers 2-0, while the Bengals fall to 1-1. I have the Dolphins and the Jaguars. The Dolphins winning on the road against the Jaguars, moving to 2-0, while the Jaguars will fall to 0-2. I have the Ravens over the Raiders in the Raiders Stadium, moving to 1-1, getting back on track, while the Raiders will fall to 0-2. I have the Eagles over the Cowboys in the Eagles Stadium, making their record 1-1, while the Dallas Cowboys falling to 1-1. I have the Seattle Seahawks beating the Packers, moving their record to 1-1, while the Packers falling to 1-1. And in the Monday Night Football game, the last game of the week, I have the Colts over the Jets, moving to 1-1, while the Jets moving to 1-1. Or falling to 1-1. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave me a like and comment, positive, subscribe. And once again, these are my picks. These are my opinions. I want to know what your thoughts are in the comments. Who do you think is going to win for this week? And what are your predictions? I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, like I said, please leave me a comment. I would love to hear your feedback on this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.